to the gods, everyone. This is Artist Truth, and welcome to another episode of my vlog. Currently on my way back, going back to work. I had an office call. I had to get that squared away. But so I don't know how many of you are familiarized with a lawyer, and I don't know where he's from. Honestly, I don't really care, but he made a statement that was very, very controversial. Yet it doesn't surprise me. You have a lot of individuals who are saying things to ruffle the feathers of the American people. I'm starting to notice that more and more, which it says a lot about an individual's integrity when they make statements like, like this lawyer did. He goes by the name of Alan dershowitz. Dershowitz, DERSHOWITS. If I'm pretty sure I'm spelling it correctly. But if you Google this lawyer, gives you a little insight about who he is and whatnot. But there's it was a video snippet that I came across of him stating that Americans do not, your constitutional rights don't mean shit against being vaccinated. Basically saying that if and when vaccinations are made mandatory to take, to receive, it's like, well, basically, guess what? You're going to take them anyway. Whether or not you consent to it or not, it's like you're still going to get it. It's like, you don't like it, oh well, tough. You still gonna, they're going to force it. So I'm thinking to myself, it's like, you're going to force it. So basically, he stated that, they will take you to a nearest clinic and force the needle into your arm. He was like, you have no constitutional rights. You have no constitutional rights to go out and infect others. It was like, the only one who is really going out and purposely, deliberately affecting a lot of Americans is the CDC, the World Health Organization, and the government, of course. It's like you're going against people's rights. It's like, and it's like totally and completely unacceptable. It's like you're misleading and you're lying to Americans about these vaccines. My thing is, who in the hell wants to have a dead, an idle version of a virus in their system? not knowing if it is going to kill them or not. You're taking the risk. You're almost like you're trying to play God. And, you know, in so little words, you're playing with people's livelihoods right here. So to say that Americans do not have a right to refuse vaccinations, it's totally and completely absurd. And if you try to go to someone's residence and you're trying to force something on them, I don't have no empathy for anyone that's trying to force someone to take something that they are not consenting to. If you don't consent to it and someone's forcing you, that's a threat. You know, that's a threat. At that point in time, you should just go ahead and hit them and hit them in the face. You know, you might as well go ahead and hit them in the face. Shit. If they proceed to force the issue, he was like, shit, hey. Some people, you just got to shoot them. Sometimes you have to shoot them or around them in order for them to get the message that no, you're not going to force me to take anything. I got calls coming in, and this is not a good time. But let me see, because now I'm almost back at work. But in a separate video, I will post this snippet for you, for you all to. I will post this snippet in a separate video so you all will have an opportunity to listen to it and, develop your own opinion, your take on it. Totally and completely unfucking believable. Like, how you gonna force someone? I'm just like, shit. A lot of these individuals who feel like, yeah, everyone should get vaccinated. We're going to push for vaccination and this, that, and the fifth. I'm just like, yo, you can't force your religion on anyone. You can't force your beliefs on anyone. You're not going to force some drugs on anyone either. Because I feel at that point, you're trying to force someone to take some sort of pharmaceutical drug. And hell, a lot of these pharmaceutical companies, they have been covered thanks to that old wrung out rag. What's his face? Ronald Reagan. Now, mind you, Ronald Reagan basically put pharmaceutical companies in a position where they can't be held liable for Americans either getting sick or dying from their pharmaceutical drugs. I can't recall. I can't think of the bill, but it basically protects a lot of pharmaceutical companies. So instead of the American people being able to go after these pharmaceutical companies when they're putting out these man-made drugs that create multiple side effects, autism, dementia, and there's no way that you can hold them accountable. They can't be held liable. So they basically putting out drugs, and it's just like, oh, well, people die, that's a liability. Okay, whatever. No big deal. Because our money isn't going to get touched. Guess who ends up forking the bill? Taxpayers. I bet y'all like that shit, huh? It's like, damn, if it's not one thing, it's another. Like, damn. But, so, we touched on Mr. Allen, but now a world at risk. So there is a annual report that you can Google this information yourself. It's called A World at Risk. Now on the cover you'll see different types of viruses, and then you'll see one image of a lot of people standing close together, and everyone's wearing a face mask on the front of this annual report. Again, a world at risk. A world at risk. So on page 10 of A World at Risk, it clearly states under one of the under the progress indicator by September 2020. And this information says the Secretary General of the United Nations with the Director General of the World Health Organization under Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs strengthens coordination and identifies clear roles and responsibilities and timely triggers for a coordinated United Nations system-wide response for health emergencies in different countries and different health and humanitarian emergency contexts. Okay? So, I'm sorry about that. So, that was bullet number 1. Bullet number 2 is the is the clicker. Bullet number 2, the United Nations, including WHO, conducts at least 2 system-wide training and simulation exercises, including one for covering the deliberate release of a lethal respiratory pathogen. Okay, mind you, this is in page 10 of A World at Risk. This information is like right out there in your goddamn face, and I can't understand why Americans are not paying attention to this shit. A World at Risk, page 10, under Progress Indicator by September 2020. So if you notice, they were already talking about a second wave. So you just admitted to Americans, better yet the whole entire world, that you knew this was coming the first time. You knew that. Now all of a sudden they notice, oh, it's a what? It's a second wave that's supposed to be arriving in the fall. Really now? Is that so? Okay. So the third bullet states, World Health Organization develops immediate triggers to mobilize national and international and multilateral action early in outbreaks to complement existing mechanisms for later and more advanced stages of an outbreak under the IHR 2005. Look, folks. I'm not a scientist. Hell, come to think about it, you know, I'm not no Harvard graduate. I'm not a Morehouse graduate. You know, I'm none of those. I'm none of those things. You know, I'm not a rocket scientist. I don't know everything. But one thing that I do know how to do is put pieces together. Put pieces together and call the shit for what it really and truly is. American people are in trouble. You think for 1 minute that those men in Michigan that are at the state capitol armed to the teeth, you think they're just doing that shit just to protest, right? Really? Fuck out of here. No. They know exactly what's going on. They understand their constitutional rights are being infringed upon. Moreover, you got your governor, you got your mayor that are just, they are going along with the bullshit. Okay? They're going along with it. And it's sad because your governor and your mayor, these are individuals that you voted in that you assumed had the best interest of the people in mind. But guess what? They don't. They never had. If your constitutional rights are being infringed upon and the governor and the mayor, they are not backing you up, what are they there for? Like, shit. If they can't do a simple thing such as have your back when your constitutional and unalienable rights are being infringed upon, it's like, whose side are you really on? And damn, you look like the enemy to me. You sound like the enemy to me. And this is why you have some Americans that aren't afraid. They're taking up arms. You know, they are taking up arms, indeed. And I feel like a lot of these political figureheads, their heads need to be put on the chopping block by the American people. It's like, okay, you're not owning up to your obligations. You need to be cut. You know, we cannot operate from an emotional standpoint. You know, because if we do, it clouds our better sense of judgment and our articulate observations. You know, when you sit back and you don't say anything, you just observe. And then you start putting things together like a puzzle. A world at war. Well, I'm sorry. A World at Risk. That is the name of this annual report. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Share this video. Give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments below. I greatly appreciate that to everyone who is listening in. And in the meantime, in between time, protect each other. All right. Y'all stay in love. Peace to the gods.